Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue with our chapter, The Devoted Friend, written by Oscar Wilde. Till now, in the chapter, we have read about the two characters who are there, Hans and the miller, and we have come across their characters. How Hans is a kind and innocent peasant, and on the other hand, Miller is a selfish friend. Can you say selfish and friend, these two words together? No, this is an oxymoron if you say two opposite words together. So he was a selfish person. He was with Hans only for his own selfish needs. He did not give anything to him in return for the things he would take from Hans. He would take flowers from him, he would take his help for various kinds of things, and he never used to give him anything in return. So we come to know that he was a selfish man. So let's continue. A plank of wood, said the miller. That is just what I need to mend the roof of my barn. I have given you my wheelbarrow, now you're going to give me a plank. Of course, the wheelbarrow costs far more than the plank, but true friendship never notices things like that. And he says, "Oh, you have a plank of wood. This is just what I need to repair the roof of my barn. Barn is the place where you keep all your equipments of gardening. Okay, it's a small kind of hut that you make in your garden. And mend means to repair. I have given you my wheelbarrow. He has not yet given it to him. He is saying, I have given you my wheelbarrow. That means I have promised you to give you my wheelbarrow. Miller has promised Hans to give the wheelbarrow to him, and then he says, now you're going to give me your plank. So, in exchange of that wheelbarrow that I have promised you that I will give you, for that, in exchange, you have to give me your plank. And of course, he says that wheelbarrow costs more than the plank. And he says that your plank costs nothing. It is not a very expensive thing. My wheelbarrow is very expensive. The wheelbarrow that he was offering to Hans was not in a proper condition. Right? It was broken from sides and the spokes of the wheel were uneven. But true friendship never notices things like that. And he says that in friendship you never see costs of things. Doesn't matter if I'm giving you a costly thing and in exchange I'm getting a cheap plank, but I will not notice that. Here he's trying to show that he is so kind and generous. But do you think he is? Not at all. Certainly, cried Hans. He said, yes, sure, and ran inside to drag the plank out of the shed because the wooden plank is heavy, so he drags it, he pulls it. It is not a very big plank, said the miller. I'm afraid that after I have mended my roof barn, there won't be any left to mend the wheelbarrow. And he says that this is such a small plank of wood, this is such a small piece of wood, and I think all of it will be used in repairing the roof of my barn. And I don't think anything will be left for you to repair the wheelbarrow that I will give you. Since I have given you my wheelbarrow, give me some flowers in return. Now, first he says that your plank is very cheap. I'm giving you the wheelbarrow. So for wheelbarrow, give the plank. And then he says, because I'm giving you wheelbarrow, he's taking one more thing. He has already taken the plank. And what is the second thing? He is taking away those beautiful flowers from his garden, which he was going to sell away in the market and earn some money. Here is the bat casket, fill it quite full. And he says, fill it up. Quite full, said Hans sorrowfully. Now he was sad. That if I give all my flowers to Miller, then what will I sell in the market? He knew this. He would have no flowers left for the market if he gives all of those to Miller, and he was very anxious to get his silver buttons back. He really wanted to get all those silver buttons back, which he had sold in the market. So he was tensed, he was worried now. I thought that in true friendship there is no selfishness, and he says that I thought in friendship there is no selfishness. Who is saying this? Miller. Do you think he is the right person to give such wisdom? Because he was the most selfish person in this friendship, in their bond. My best friend, cried Hans, you can have all the flowers in my garden. And since he was such an innocent man, he was so naive and he was so innocent that he says, "It's okay, you can have all the flowers in my garden. I would rather have your good opinion than my silver buttons." He says, I would rather, that means I would prefer to have your friendship rather than my silver buttons. I hope you are able to understand how innocent this man is. He plucked all my pretty primroses and filled the miller's basket. And what did he do? He plucked all his pretty primroses from the garden. He picked up all the roses and filled up his basket. Goodbye, Hans, as he went up the hill with the plank on his shoulder and the big basket in his hand. And he takes that plank of wood on his shoulder. Who takes it away? Miller, and that big basket in his hand. "Goodbye," said little Hans, and began to dig away merrily. And again he got busy in doing his work, digging in his garden merrily. That means happily. And he was so pleased, he was so happy, was he, about the wheelbarrow. He was so happy that Miller has promised him to get the wheelbarrow. Now his money is saved, which he was going to spend on buying the wheelbarrow. He was very happy. The next day Miller came with a large sack of flour on his back. Now, next day, what happens? Miller comes with a large sack of flour. That means jute bag of flour. "Dear little Hans," back means the body part, the back. "Dear little Hans, would you carry this sack of flour for me to market?" And he says, in the picture, I hope you're able to distinguish. He is Hans, not Miller. So this is Hans in the picture. And Miller here says that, "Little Hans, can you carry this sack of flour for me to the market?" "I'm really very busy," began Hans, and Hans says that, "I am busy, I am doing the work in my garden." "It is rather unfriendly of you to refuse." And Miller says that in friendship you never say no to your friends. This is unfriendly behavior. Refuse means to say no. "Oh, I don't wish to be unfriendly," said Hans. And Hans says, "No, no, I don't want to be unfriendly with you. I'm not being unfriendly. I'm just saying that I am busy right now." He picked up the heavy sack with some difficulty and placed it on his shoulders. He here is Hans. Please keep writing down in your book. Hans picks up that heavy sack with some difficulty and placed it on his shoulders and trudged off. That means he was walking with a great difficulty because it was heavy. So he had to walk a lot to the market. It was a hot day. That means heat. And the road was terribly dusty. There was a lot of dust. After 5 miles, Hans was so tired. Miles is like we have kilometers, miles is also a unit of measurement of distance. Hans was so tired that he had to sit down and rest. After walking 5 miles, he was so busy that he had to sit down and rest for a while. However, he went on and at last reached the market. He sold the sack of flour for a very good price and returned home. So finally, he reaches the market and sells the sack of flour and gets the money and returns home. Next morning, Miller came to get his money. And next morning only, Miller quickly comes up to get his money from Hans, which he had got after selling the sack of flour. But Hans was still in bed. Why was he still in bed? Why was he still sleeping? Because he was tired from the previous day. "You are very lazy," said the miller. "I will give you my wheelbarrow, so you must work harder." "You're very lazy." This is the remark given by Miller to the person who had helped him to go and sell the sack of flour in the market. Do you think he's a good friend? He is not even motivating his friend. "I will give you my wheelbarrow, so you must work harder." And he says, "I will only give you my wheelbarrow if you will work hard. If you will not work hard and be lazy, then I'm not going to give you my wheelbarrow." "I'm very sorry," said Hans, rubbing his eyes, "but I was so tired." Now Hans was not even complaining that it is because of your sack of flour that I am tired. He did not complain. He apologized. He said sorry. He did not have any mistake here. "I want you to come up to the mill and mend my roof for me." And he says, why was he calling him all those things? Why was he calling him lazy? Because he wanted to get one more thing done by Hans. And what was that? To get his barn, the roof of his barn, repaired from him. Did you understand till here? I hope this video lesson should be clear to you. The page must be clear to you. In the next video lesson, we will understand and we will read through the next page. All right?